Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, and joining us now, the star of the show, Bobby Blaze.
Hey, what's happening, man? What happened to fucking being Arn's favorite enhancement talent? That's the only intro I get?
We did a pre-recorded episode last week, and I'm all thrown off now. I don't remember the intro. I don't remember how to work the software. I'm all ass over tea kettles over here, you know?
Well, you better get together, man, because we've got a special guest today. I'll go right to it, man. From the 740, the GOAT, the pride of Nelsonville, Ohio, a man I'm sure that Woody Hayes would approve of for hitting opponents in their face, and that's none other than Mr. Jock Samson. Jock, welcome to the program.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys having me on today. I tell you right now, I've got a really shitty hangover. I was out late last night, and the 7 and 7s were going down awfully smooth.
And you are the king of the one-night stand, so I'm sure you had a little activity going outside of that, too.
Yeah, they only get one shot. So
okay.
It's only a one-time deal. As the Tully Blanchard once said, one thing I can do is get dressed quick. So
there you go.
That's a good one.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. Well, welcome to the show, man. We're glad to have you on here. We've had, we've talked to you before on the program. We appreciate you coming on our program. Your name gets mentioned quite often on the program, depending on, upcoming events in the area that we're in. Just wanted to say that, bring this up real quickly. Jock, do you recall when you and I met? Because we've talked about this before. I'm sure you do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can't remember. I know that it was like a suburb of Cleveland.
Yes.
For JT Lightning and Cleveland All Pro Wrestling, we were in this big church.
Yep.
And they had one of those sunken-in basketball courts, and everything else was raised.
Yep.
And and I remember you were special guest referee for Jerry the King Lawler and Tracy Smothers, the legend Tracy Smothers. God rest his soul. Yeah. And that's I started walking up and started talking to you. Started talking about DFZ and Shane Storm and. Right. And all the people we knew, but that was the first time we met. I remember you had them overall suspenders on. You're looking stylish as fuck, boy.
Yeah, now you know why I wore those too, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so that evening, JT, they had asked me, first of all, it was an honor to get to go and do something for JT, because I think, JT and I were friends outside the business once I got to know him through the business. And so he held a special place in my heart. But he also, they had asked me, a couple people said, would you be willing to come up here? And we worked out all the details, of course. And I was going to referee between, like you said, Tracy Smothers and Jerry the King Lawler. And with a little bit of added heat there for Lawler. And then me and Tracy traveling together, for many years. And knowing that, they thought it'd create a little bit of heat and vibe for that. But with the suspender before, I did that for JT because it was in honor of Mark Curtis. And if you look at those pictures, I wore a light blue shirt like he would wear, and also I wore the suspenders. I wore dark blue suspenders, and that was in memory of Mark Curtis, the referee for Smoky Mountain Wrestling. That's why I had those on.
Well, I'll be darned. I didn't even, as much as I've seen Mark Curtis over the years, and I remember the suspenders, I just never put two and two together.
Yeah.
I just remember that was the night. Like Lawler drop kicked Tracy and knocked his two front teeth out.
Yeah. But
I remember that. That was a good match.
Yeah, well, it was a good show, and like I said, we got to meet that day, and we just come up and you started talking to me, like you said, it was DFZ and Shane Storm, and next thing you know, we're talking. You had some hip toss stuff going on, and was that your tag team deal?
Yeah, we were called Team Hip Toss. It was
there you go.
Best man of my wedding, Jeremy Madrox and me.
There you go.
We decided, because there's that movie Ready to Rumble. You remember that that was WCW movie with
yes.
So, and when I was coming up, that was one of my favorite movies. If you're a wrestling fan, that's probably one of your favorite movies, like if you're my age. And I always thought Jimmy King was one of the greatest characters in all of, I wish he was a real wrestling character. You know, he's a scumbag, you know, he's an alcoholic, you know, womanizer, just a rotten piece of shit, but everybody loved him. And he was working with, doing the thing with Dallas Page, and, you know, so he's calling the spot and said, all right, Pagey, hip toss, baby. And I was drunk and high, and I would go around and say, all right, baby, hip toss, baby. And it kind of stuck. And Jeremy's like, why don't we call ourselves Team Hip Toss? Because that's all you say when you get drunk is hip toss, baby. Gotta do my best Jimmy King voice.
There you go. I got you. So anyway, I guess you just coming in off the road from working a couple matches over the weekend. And again, we're thankful that you came on the show. I've got to get to a couple of things real quickly. We're not in any rush to get through the podcast, but I was going to bring us up off the top. The FTC title, I think you're going around saying you're a champion of FTC. I don't know what the situation is, but I know a couple of names involved with FTC that they say you're not actually the title holder. And we spoke to Casey King last week, 2 weeks ago. It was recorded last week. He had a few things to say about you. And what's your thoughts on Casey King? And then I've got a couple other questions concerning that.
Well, you know, if Casey, you know, I think first off, Casey King is a great wrestler. I mean, I'm not going to take any credit, but if he wanted his opinion to matter, maybe he shouldn't have got hurt.
Okay. Speaking of hurt, you had something to say to someone else the other day. Well, get that off your chest, by God.
Oh, are we talking about Effie?
Or Danhausen, either one. I
you know what?
Heard a couple of things you said.
Fuck Effie, fuck Danhausen. I'm gonna say fuck you, Casey King. I'm glad I can speak freely on this show, Bobby, because you know I really hate the restraints that I can't naturally speak the way that I naturally do. You know, I sound like a howdy doody motherfucker sometimes when I cut these promos, and I can't just naturally say the F word or swear. So I'm gonna say this. Danhausen, Effie, you are the two weirdest motherfuckers I have ever seen in my entire life. And then you have these lines of people that will line up to see both of you, and they all look like there's not a single woman that will walk up there in this crowd. These nerdy-looking motherfuckers, you know. And to be honest, you got, you know, if you were a hot woman at a wrestling show, would you go to a wrestling show and sit by the cast of Revenge from the Nerds? Like, I wouldn't do it. So you got all these people signing up, giving these guys money, kissing their fucking ass. And, you know, I'm over here busting my ass, kicking the shit out of people, winning championships left and right. I have 4 right now. You know, I am the FTC champion. You know, whether some other people want to say it or not. I have the belt. Casey didn't defend it. I was the number 1 contender. So, therefore, you got to have a champion. You know, I'm the ECC champion in Ashland, Kentucky right now. So and then Pro Wrestling Conquest and Remix. I am the champion of the Tri-State. I am the best wrestler in Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky.
Well, I'm not going to dispute that. I tend to agree with you. Of course, I tend to cheer for heels too. So, you know, is that still a thing in wrestling? Are there heels out there?
You know, I'm not a bad guy, Bobby. I'm not a heel.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a bad guy, man. You know, you got these, you know, you got Danhausen and Effie, and they're doing all this ridiculous stuff, right? And people are cheering for them, and I'm over here. I'm a good, wholesome person, man. You know, I have a wife, I have a family, I have a daughter, you know, I have a mortgage. You know, I don't live in an apartment like a lot of professional wrestlers do now. They like living in an apartment. They don't like doing yard work. They sleep all day. They play fucking video games. And if that makes me a bad guy, then so be it. Because I don't want those kind of people cheering for me. But I'm just, you know, I'm a good person, Bobby. I'm a really good person.
Yeah.
Danhausen and Effie, Casey King, they're not good people.
I hear you.
They make people think of it. You know, and Bobby, to be fair, I have a lot of fans. I have a lot of fans. But my fans work for a living. They just don't sit around and play video games and text and socially bully people like Danhausen and Effie's fans like to do. Yeah. My fans are working 12 hours a day because coal miners love me. You know, working people love me, not blue-collar morons that, work at a call center or something like that. I ain't got time for any of that stuff. I mean, I have a lot of motherfucking fans. I am the best wrestler, in the tri-state. You can't take that. But is Effie or Danhausen or Casey King the champion of the tri-state? No, they're not.
No.
But I'm not going to get no praise. You know why? Because I'm a country boy. I live in a small town. And that's just not cool and that's not hip today. If you're a rural guy, they're going to assume you're one thing and that, and I'm a pretty tolerable guy. But yet, people are going to pick and choose what they like because it's just the way of the world. They're a bunch of rotten bastards.
Damn. Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned the word bully. You came to FTC and had a little thing. You was pissed off you had to wrestle a student, Caleb Thorne, and I have to say you kicked the living shit out of him, and that was like a night off for you. But also the anti-bully, the bully's bully or whatever, Brock Boulder, he has something to say about that too, because he's the Art of Grappling school champion, and I'm just curious, what's your feelings on those two? Anything?
Well, Caleb, the kid just don't listen, because I told him beforehand I was going to beat the shit out of him. I told him he might just stay home, because if you, like I told him, you make a mistake in the ring with me, I'm going to capitalize on it. I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. And I told him
and
that.
You did. And you did. I witnessed it. You beat the shit out of him.
I mean, he took it like a grown man. He did.
Yep.
Took it like a man.
He did.
But, just because you can take something like a man doesn't mean that getting in the ring with me is something that you should do. And Brock Boulder, I've already been in the ring with him. I've already kicked the shit out of him from his wife and his kids. I mean, I'm surprised he just didn't stick his head up his ass. But like you said, he's built like a boulder, so I really doubt that he can bend that far. But I'm sure he'd like the smell of it if he could. But there was 4 students in that match. Brock Boulder didn't do anything by himself. No one can do anything to me one-on-one. I don't give a shit who it is in the fucking world. I don't give a rat's ass, Bobby. I mean, I can hold my own with anybody. You're not going to make me do nothing. But you have 4-on-1. You have 4 students, and they all 4 grab me. And as tough as I am, that's what is that? That's science. That's what do you call it? See, I'm not a book educated person, so I don't understand all this. But 4-on-1 is a little unfair, and they took advantage of it.
There.
Yeah, they know. Like, I was Andre the Giant, man. They were trying to throw out Andre. That's who I was.
Yeah.
Because they realized that all I would take is if I get rid of all them, I am the FTC School of Grappling Champion, and I've been a wrestling student in 16 fucking years.
You've been nothing but professional since I've met you. I know that. I just was wanting to bring that up and see how you felt about it, man. Jeremy, you got anything for... I know you two kind of had a little bit of heat going back and forth. Well, you and a professor.
I was going to say, because we're all professionals here, I was going to say, Jock, for the duration of this episode, let's just bury the hatchet, put the heat out between us, and we'll just, do a professional episode. And then once we're done here, we can go back to motherfucking each other on Twitter, okay?
Well, I'm sure that's what you like to do. It's like you and Casey King are one and the same, man. You like to get on Twitter and act tough as hell, but when you get down to throwing knucks, I mean, shit. But I'll be professional today. That they've never heat with me with anybody. There ain't been no heat with me and you. It's just any time that my name comes out your mouth, that tends to lend a bit of credibility to yourself. So it is what it is.
Hey, now hold on here. I got to do some clout chasing if I want to keep people listening to the show. I got to seem relevant, and if I got to do that riding on your back, that's what's going to happen.
Well, brother, my back is strong, so the world has been riding my back. I run the southeastern Ohio. Everyone talks about Joe Burrow, the Heisman Trophy winner from southeastern Ohio. Motherfucker, I am southeastern Ohio.
Look, and here's the other thing I was going to say. I am totally with your claim with the FTC championship. You were the number 1 contender. Champion's gone. You've got the belt. Possession 9/10 of the law. You're FTC champion.
I have no problem with it.
I mean, legally, I am owed a title shot, a rematch. And how I lost the title to Casey. I mean, I was, Casey, I'll give him. He had guts. He tore his ACL, and he still wanted to fight me. Okay, cool, man. You ain't got no sense, but you got some guts. I'll give you that. But his girlfriend decides to get up there and shoot me in the face with one of those confetti guns or whatever. And then, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been shot in the face with a confetti gun. It doesn't knock you out, but you got all those fumes and you know that smoke. It gets in your eyes. It's almost like when you're standing by a smoky fire and the smoke gets in your eyes when the wind blows. It's kind of like that. So I'm blinded. Then I turn into an RKO from Casey, a cutter, and he gets the win. I mean, if I would do something like that, people would be all up in arms. They would be wanting to burn me at the stake, and I don't understand it. I'm a really nice guy, and people treat me this way. They should be grateful that they get to watch me wrestle, because I don't wrestle just anywhere. You know, if I'm wrestling at your wrestling company, you have some credibility, because I only want to wrestle for the best. I'm not wrestling for a company that has like there's 25 promotions in one town. I'm not going to wrestle at all because I love wrestling. I like wrestling. I love wrestling. I like making money more.
There you go. That's what it's about, isn't it?
It's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand.
Pay me, pay me, motherfuckers. That's right. And let alone someone get shot in the face with a fucking confetti cannon, right?
I mean,
you know, hey.
I mean, how is this okay that certain people get away with stuff? You know, I've never been given anything. No one's ever given me quarter. You know, whatever I want, I went out and earned it, and I took it.
There you go.
But but I don't know what it is. It just, I guess it's everyone. I think people must be jealous of me or something. I guess I've never been the kind to say that. It is what it is, Bobby.
Is this kind of like the thing where Hulk Hogan broke the rules for years and years and years, and Bobby Heenan was the only person that never noticed?
Yeah, well, I never break the rules. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not talking about you breaking the rules. I'm talking about
damn.
You're saying you're doing what you're told to do, and staying in the rules and doing your whole thing, and everybody else is kind of fucking around, but nobody ever points it out.
I'm the biggest Hulk Hogan fan in the world, but yeah, I actually agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, certain people they'll act away. Like you get Danhausen, you get Effie, Casey King, you get that dumb shit Cole Carter. They all act away when the fans are around, but when they're not that person. I am the person you see me when you walk up and say, "Hey, how you doing, sir?" I'm like, "How are you doing, sir?" I'm very polite. That's me 24/7. You know, and a lot of times, a lot of people, if they have a problem with me, you know where to find me. I'm either wrestling or I'm at the bar, or I'm with your wife.
There you go. God damn, I'm glad I don't have a wife.
But I don't get it, man. It's just it's the way of the world. The bad guy, people who truly are the bad guys, get treated like they're saints. It's the Kardashians are rotten ass people. People love them.
Yeah. Do people
rotten ass people,
or do people just like to hate watch them?
The only thing I like about them is them double D's that are in the front of Kim.
I like
Bobby
the asses.
agree with on that. Yeah, I like the asses.
I like the asses. Yeah, I'm a leg man. Yeah.
Oh,
you know what perfect legs are, Jock?
What's that?
Feet on one end, pussy on the other.
That's right, boy.
If we was at the bar, let's just say this. Someone, I think it was not Sparks. Who am I thinking of there, Jeremy?
Adam.
Hey, Adam, shout out for you. PBR is looking for a fucking celebrity to be the representative. I don't consider myself a celebrity to that degree, but Jock, I don't know, man. If PBR come to me, I'd fucking be a PBR man and be their spokesperson. But say we're set to, I'm a Miller Lite guy, but I'll drink. I drink the best kind of beer there is, and that's free. So if PBR wants to sponsor me, that'd be great. What kind of beer do you drink? What's your drink of choice nowadays?
Well, I don't drink a lot of beer per se of what as much as I used to. I'm actually a Coors Banquet beer guy.
Okay, good.
If I have to choose beer, I'm with you on the free beer thing. I'd rather drink free beer because there's no beer like free beer. It's like free food. Free food just tastes a little bit different. But I like Coors Banquet beer, but I mostly drink like liquor. I'm a big fan of Proper Number 12.
Okay.
Conor McGregor's Irish whiskey. I like, as you know, I said earlier, I like some 7-on-7s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I like my favorite drink probably to go out and get is an old fashioned.
Old fashions are good. What do you now when you get that? What kind of whiskey do you get it with?
You know, I like Makers.
Okay,
that's mine. That's my favorite. Maker's my favorite. You spoke about them 7-7s. I tell you what, the 2 worst times I've been fucked up in my life is because because I drank them first of all at 7-7s, but both of them happen to be also at wedding receptions, man. And it's just something about we get to that reception and it's fucking air conditioned. It's cool inside, you're fucking in, and when they're going back good, you just don't realize how many you fucking had, and you just once you stand up, you're like, what the fuck? Where am I?
Yeah, you're not supposed to drink 14 of them, Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh, I went through a bottle yesterday.
Damn.
Of Seagram 7.
I like Seagrams.
7-7s. So I get to the town early, and they have a TV. They have a room set up for me just so I can watch the Buckeye game, the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know.
Of course.
And so my family's gone, so I said, well, I'm just going to leave early. I ain't got to drive 8 hours, so I left there about 9 o'clock in the morning, got there, and me and the general manager went through a bottle. And, he's looking at me, he says, you going to be okay tonight? And I said, I'm a fucking professional motherfucking wrestler, man. I can drink, I can wrestle, I can fuck all night. I mean, that's what I do. And he's astounded. He's laying on the floor, and I'm over there. I'm just fine. And I like Seagram 7. Seagram 7 for a cheap whiskey. That's a pretty spot-on, solid whiskey. I don't like it by itself. Proper, I like to drink it by itself.
Yeah, I got you. Some whiskey you like to have a shot of, but that Seagram 7, that's a good, it's a blended whiskey, and it's a good one to go, if you're going to have a mixed drink, that's a good one to have with it. It really is. I'm with you. I don't normally just okay, I'm going to take a shot of a Seagrams. I want me a good whiskey on that. But and I'm a Maker's guy. I like that. But Wolf Reserve, I love Wolf Reserve. That's a good whiskey. There's a limit to that on me, though, man. I just get that. Sometimes in January, February, when it gets cold, I get on some bourbon. Then I just kind of straight off the beer a little bit, just to get that nip it in the bud kind of feeling, You're like, woo, okay. Tonight's just a whiskey night,
Oh, yeah. So I was so we went to the bar after, so I go up and I buy all the guys that I like a shot. And this bar didn't have any selection. They had Toledo. I think they had that. Toledo whiskey or some kind of, that's about all they had. They didn't have anything, but I bought everyone a shot of it. And I looked at the kids and I said, hey, when you take this, you got to gargle this. And my father was impressed that I knew this when I did it with him. Because the old timers, that's like comparing your dick sizes with men. You got to gargle that whiskey, man, because that's a whole different breed. Gargle it, then shoot it. And they about passed out, Bobby.
Put it in their place, didn't you?
You know what? I love talking whiskey. What is the most expensive shot of whiskey you've ever done, Jock?
I don't remember the name of the whiskey I got. Mm-hmm. I was in Toronto. I was in this hipster bar, and they had all these varieties of whiskeys that I've never heard of. And I mean, it was a pretty high end place because it was $20 for a gourmet hamburger kind of.
Yeah.
And for an average ass hamburger at that, I'd pay a $5 hamburger down the street, and it tastes 10 times better than that. And I think it was $25-26 a shot for a single.
Yeah.
So,
and I've heard people have shots up to $40-50.
I had a shot of Pappy Van Winkle's the year that the truck got hijacked. It was $150 for the 10-year reserve.
Buddy, I'm telling you right now, there ain't no, can you imagine taking a shot?
You know what it was, is I was sitting there drinking an old fashioned, and I was on number 2, and I'm looking at it's the only time I've ever seen a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle's anywhere.
Yeah.
And I knew that the truck had gotten hijacked that year, so there was going to be a dry season for it. And I just asked him, how much is it? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this one time in my life. So I just went ahead and did it while I was still sober enough to taste it, but had enough drinks in me to go ahead and think that $150 for a shot of whiskey was worth it.
Man, did you had it straight, or did you put it with
I did it as a shot.
Man, I almost would have put some rocks on that and just kind of savored
Sipped on it. Yeah, that's what I should have done. But
that's what you do with a good cigar.
Yeah, I just wanted to like be able to say that I had had a shot of Pappy Van Winkle's, just because you never see this shit, you know.
Oh, I mean, I've heard people tell me it's great. I've never had it. Like where I live and where Bobby lived, you probably could. You just know the name Pappy Van Winkle. They probably don't have it anywhere.
Well, actually, the liquor store down the road from me, it does have some in. Believe it or not, they just the other day I just saw the. I can't recall the price. I want to say it's like $121 maybe for the.
That sounds right.
I think they had a special. They had that same liquor store had this around this time last year, man. They put together this basket, and I want to say it's they do a bidding. You have to buy. It's $100 ticket, but there's 5 or 6 different whiskeys in there, and the top one was the Pappy there, and I think it was $121 value, and I think there were 6 different whiskeys in that package for $100.
That would make sense because you want a shot of whiskey to pay for the bottle, basically, when you run a bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that about $150 for that shot that year where it was dry. That would make sense at $120 now is just like the standard price.
I'm gonna double check it. There's they changed their name. It's just, it's just a spirit store, but I'm gonna double check it. There's either 5 or 6 bottles in the basket, and like I said, it's a $100 ticket for them to raffle off. And again, they did it last year around this time, so. Maybe it's just something, maybe they only have 1 bottle in there. I don't know that. I'm just saying.
For 120, that's a Christmas time kind of thing.
Well, that's what they're doing it for. It's a Christmas raffle. It's not going off like Thanksgiving. It's going off before Christmas. I do know that. So I'm going to double check the other whiskeys in there, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's like...
I wouldn't mind getting one.
Jock, I would say it's worth it. My average bottle of whiskey that I keep around, say both bourbon and rye, is Bullet, because it's not expensive, but it tastes good. They both taste nice. About $30 a bottle here. And I'm a bigger bourbon guy than I am. Like, I think Irish whiskeys are too sweet. They just don't agree with me.
Oh yeah.
But stuff like that, Pappy Van Winkle's and the Bullet bourbons and things, those are right up my alley. And I would say that if you're going to do it, it's worth getting a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle's, but keep something else on hand so that you don't drink the whole bottle. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I'm very frugal when it comes to drinking because I've never, for me to get a $25 shot, you don't talk about me, not wanting to spend, buddy. I don't like to spend. That's why I get me a bottle of Proper, which is like $26, $27 for a bottle, and you can't beat that. And man, Christmas time now. There's a moonshine place in Logan, Ohio, and it's called Hocking Hills Moonshine. I don't know if you've heard of that, Bobby.
Well, I know Hocking Hills, but I have not heard of Hocking Hills Moonshine.
Yeah, they got this, and I went there. We were heading to Columbus because to visit my dad and all that for Christmas, and so I walked in, and my wife likes moonshine. She wants to go in and get the apple pie stuff,
Yeah, I got you.
That shit will get you more messed up than actually drinking a good bourbon. But they had a really solid bourbon. It was like a $50 bottle, and it was a smooth bourbon. It was so smooth. My dad, my uncles, and we just went through it that night.
Damn.
I mean, it was just. It hit you, and you were like, "Man, this is pretty goddamn good,"
Yeah.
And we were just rolling it down, buddy. I tell you, but you can't beat a good bourbon or just a good whiskey, whatever you like, good liquor. I don't like vodka. Straight.
Well, no, but vodka. I mean, that's a chick's drink, and that's for getting drunk fast. I mean, it's not. I've never had a vodka that was like. Like a gourmet or, like a flavor thing. I've just had it as like, hey, here, get fucked up quick,
Yeah, screwdrivers are good, though. I like screwdrivers.
That's a great breakfast drink. A buddy of mine actually showed up with a sugarcane vodka one time on Christmas Day about 20 years ago with a bottle of that, and we did screwdrivers all morning until I had to go lay back down.
Well, look here.
Christmas.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll do a little transition here. If you're listening to this program out there, folks, this is going to drop on you're listening should be on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So have a happy fucking Thanksgiving. I'll tell you that. I call it Skanksgiving. I'm going to try and find me a skank somewhere to hang out with and do a little partying around my way. That's what I try to do. Cow dog, chilled out. You're not invited over there.
I got
Tell
a
her,
neighbor
Professor.
making noise, so she's barking.
Yeah.
Hey, God.
But I was going to go with this, just throwing this out there. Christmas is, we're in the seasons now. We're starting to get into it. He's mentioned Christmas there. Let me get your opinion on this. Die Hard, is that a fucking Christmas movie or not?
No, it's not. That's the stupidest fucking thing. It happens at Christmas time. So does Lethal Weapon. So does Gremlins. Nobody's fighting to make those Christmas movies.
Is Santa
I'm
Claus
asking
in that
for a
motherfucker?
reason.
Is Santa Claus in it?
No.
Is there somebody dressed like Santa Claus in
Well,
it?
of course there is, because there's somebody in the background. But
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
well, then,
Yeah, it's better than a fucking Christmas Story. I tell you that. I ain't gonna watch that.
well, it's a better,
fucking-
it's a better movie. But I mean, now is Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie?
No.
Because it's got Santa Claus in it. It's got Christmas trees. It's got the same stuff that makes Die Hard a Christmas movie. How about Gremlins? It happens at Christmas time. And
Yeah,
Phoebe
Gremlins
Cates-
is.
Yeah, Phoebe
Yeah, it
Cates'
is.
dad died dressed as Santa Claus in it.
Yeah, I'll say he is. Yeah, sure.
Okay, that one. Okay, we got
Nightmare
that.
Before Christmas. Is that a Christmas movie?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it a Halloween movie?
It is. You could technically use it for either one, but it's a Christmas movie, and it's actually my grandson's favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah, I just watched it for the first time and I loved it.
Yeah, he's my grandson's a creepy little fucker. So, oh, hey, you know what? I'm gonna tap the brakes here after this one. But Bobby, why were you asking that?
Well, because we talked about the confetti cannon
Yeah.
earlier, and also Casey King will fucking argue that it's a fucking Christmas movie, and I just want to see if Jock had a different opinion than him. That's the only reason why.
Jock, now that you know that Casey King feels that
It's
way.
Casey's favorite fucking movie. He's got a couple of them, and that's his favorite Christmas movie, of course. And
Jock, does that
he's
change
mentioned
your
a couple
opinion?
of times.
Well, I wish he would have fell off the fucking Nakatomi Tower also, so. Bring back Hans Gruber, man, and let Casey King
There you
fucking
go.
take his place.
There you go.
I mean, that motherfucker's been riding my coattails for how long?
A long time.
Motherfuckers
So,
wouldn't even know
yeah.
who he is, one for me.
Okay. I like that. Who else you putting on the map? What's your future plans? Who else you gonna put on the map?
Man, I tell you, I've got two. I got this week off. It's Thanksgiving, but more importantly, it's Michigan week. So any Ohioan worth their fucking salt it's a holiday because we're going to spank those motherfuckers up north.
I hear you. Did you like my Woody Hayes reference in your opening?
I sure did.
I knew you'd appreciate that.
The old man, man. The old man. Like, the Clemson player had it coming.
Yeah. Damn.
That's what you get. Motherfucker, you don't get up. I know a good friend of ours, Dutch Mantel, he's a Clemson guy. He'll disagree. But I'm so happy they whooped their ass finally for Woody. Fuck that guy. But I don't have a show until the 12th because a lot of times during the holiday, like this time of year, I cut everything down because I got all this stuff to do with the kid and a lot of pro wrestlers are not going to say this, but my family will come first.
Absolutely.
Like I doubt Danhausen or Effie or Casey King are putting their families first for the holidays. I have enough money to where I can take off after Thanksgiving, but I got one show. I can take it off because I was smart. I was frugal. I drink.
It's not how much money you make; it's how much you save. That's the old saying in the wrestling business. It's not how much you make; it's how much you save.
That was Teeny Jarrett's thing.
That's right.
Yeah. See, I've always said if money was meant to hold on to, they'd have fucking handles on it, and so I spend quite freely. Jock, let me ask you something here. I'm gonna actually venture into actual interview territory here for a minute, just to kind of get a sense of things. At what point in your life did you fall in love with pro wrestling? When did you look at it and go, "Fuck yeah, that's what I'm gonna do"?
Okay, this is there's a little story that goes with this.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we're all about around the same age where we remember video stores. Mm-hmm. So in my hometown of Nelsonville, Ohio, Bobby, I don't know, have you ever been there?
Yeah. Well, I went to a show at Hawking College up there. Am I close to you?
Yeah, that's
or
where
not?
I actually that's where I went to college.
Okay, I went with Shane Storm and DFZ up there to a couple shows at the college era.
Okay,
Several
they
years back.
have a train, but there's got a store called LS that was around when I was a little boy. And so every Saturday, my mom, who was a single mom, my parents were divorced early, but on Saturday nights, I was able to go get a pizza and then go to the LS, it was the hardware store, but they sold the VHS tapes. And, of course, I was excited. Every Saturday night was the thing. I'd go get 3 movies and then watch USA Up all night with Rhonda Shear and those wonderful legs of hers.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But I would get 3 movies. Then I walk in and I see a VHS of this big monster dude with curly black hair looking down on this chiseled, cut, bleach blonde dude. And it was on WrestleMania 3 VHS, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Pontiac Silverdome. And it absolutely captivated me to where I was like, I need to see what this is. Because, I mean, you look at Andre and you look at Hogan, it just didn't look like anybody else. And I put it on, and then I fell in love with it.
Right on. Right on.
It's kind of hard to go. Like, I was a Hulkamaniac as a kid, man.
I think, wasn't everybody around our age would have been, right?
Yeah, well, you know, if a lot of kids, if they say they weren't, they didn't love him, they're lying.
Yeah, I mean,
and they just want to fall in sort.
Yeah, I absolutely was until I flipped to Macho Man at some point, and then I just cheered for the heels after that. But I was also like, when I started to branch out and discover other things, and I found Bockwinkel, that to me became my ideal world champion. So it kind of took the edge off of Hogan, but look, he was still the biggest star, or one of the biggest stars to ever come out of pro wrestling. He mainstreamed pro wrestling more than anybody else ever did.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, and I grew up watching all the wrestling. I watched WCW, NWA, 605, and I watched all of it, Flair. But the part of Ohio I came from it wasn't as big in Georgia Championship Wrestling then as it was a few years earlier.
Yeah.
But man, you know, I always felt more into the guys who could talk, who could cut promos, who backed up what they said. And that's a big point, credibility. Guys who had credibility.
Well, that's why I'm going to tell you this. Let me interrupt real quick there, Jeremy. Speaking of promos, I'm going to tell you right now, Jock has got a solid fucking promo game. I tell you that. And here's the thing that should drive me crazy is if I say I'm going to break your leg in that match, then I at least should attempt to work your leg or try to, break their leg, during that match. And it used to drive me so crazy. When Buddy Landell, rest in peace, and then Dirty White Boy, they would issue these challenges. They would say they were going to do these things, like to me, okay? But if it wasn't a bigger house show and it's just, small towns and stuff, it's just like, man, you really need to fucking try to be doing this stuff. Now, they were veterans, but some nights you go out there and you cut a promo, you say you're going to do something, and you don't even attack that body part. It's like, fuck. I want it to be that realism, and I'll say this, and this is why I'm a fan of Jock, and that's not a dig towards anyone I've worked with or Smoky Mountain Wrestling, nothing. I'm just saying sometimes you're like, they cut a promo at a town nowadays, and the guy talks all tough, and then he doesn't do shit in his match. That's my comparison. I'll say this, I've seen Jock several times for the last few years. When Jock says he's going to do something during a match, during his promo, and he cuts a good promo, he fucking actually goes for the person and does what he says he's going to do. Now, I'm not saying he says he's going to break someone's leg, but I've seen him say, or heard him say that he's going to try to do this and try to do it, and he actually does it during a match. And I think that's so important. It just adds to me to the realism. And I don't think I've ever went to Jock and several other people that I could mention on some of these local shows. Hey, what's your finish, man? What's your finish? Unless I specifically give out a finish in the back, I don't want to know. And so when I get to go to matches and I hear Jock say this or see him doing that, and I'm not just trying to kiss his ass, I'm telling you the truth as a wrestling fan, I enjoy that sometimes, more than not, I don't want to know the finish so I can enjoy that as a fan still. Like back when I was a little boy, and I fell in love with wrestling with your story, Jock. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's something that's missing in pro wrestling on these independent shows. Is if you say you're going to do something, by God, at least try to do it. You know, that's my rant there.
Well, I mean, you know, everyone always says that we're in the professional wrestling business, Bobby. That they've always said that and it is wrestling, but you know what we really are, and the end of it is we are in the emotion business, and we get, you know, if we can sell emotion by our actions, our deeds, our words, I mean, emotion that carries everything. And if you don't have it, it's just a bland. Wrestling's a bland product, you know. And by saying I'm going to do something, you know, and then you add the credibility on there, then people, I become a threat.
Yeah.
And I am a threat to people, and then they start caring about that person, and then they build that emotional connect. When I'm attacking that leg, they actually are worried about that human being. I just think wrestling, you know, wrestling is good when the emotional stakes are high.
Yeah, that's very.
I mean, it don't mean that you can't have a good match that has no stakes at all, and there's a lot of you can have that. But you know, there's reasons why guys like Hogan and Austin and Flair and all those guys are the top, because, I mean, people were emotionally connected. And I'll say this, Danhausen and Effie, he's got people emotionally connected to them. My people are emotionally connected, but as you know, they're working at the coal mine and they ain't got, you know, they're not free. But it's emotion. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and people may or may not appreciate this, but like politics, we got all this stuff going on in politics, like with the elections and all this and all the crap going on in the world. They are better at pro wrestling at times than we as professional wrestlers are. They are better at doing that than what we are.
Yeah, yeah.
And if to clarify is, like Donald Trump, love him or hate him. I'm not going to give my opinion, love or hate. It is what it is. We all know what he was. So if you hate Donald Trump, like if you're a heel wrestler, which I'm not a heel wrestler, but a lot of people say they are, you need to do everything Donald Trump did for the last 4 years. You win an election where you don't win the popular vote, then you cut promos for 4 years telling everybody how great you are. Could you imagine how much money they could have drew for that debate? If right in the middle, like for a fight, if Joe Biden would have went right over and swept Trump's legs and you know, and Lou Thesed him, and they sold tickets, it would have been the tops, wouldn't it? Because Trump.
I don't want to see two guys that are pushing 80 fucking beat each other up, though.
Hey man, I'll see if anything's pushed right, I'll watch anything.
Hey, here you go.
Like Donald Trump, there's one thing that he elicits in people. It's raw emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
Love him or hate him. Now the people that love him, he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's just cutting promos talking about whooping people's ass for 4 years. I mean, like, politicians are really good at pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And I wish a lot of guys today would actually pay attention to what's going on in the world, and they would probably be a lot better at pro wrestling if they would do that kind of stuff.
Hey, Professor, man, we got a couple books we got to plug real quick. The first one is Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boots Will Travel. You can get that book, the way the Professor has it set up, at tinyurl.com/blazebook1. It'll take you right to the link, man, to get that book. That was my very first book. My second book is called I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler. The way you can get that is go to tinyurl.com/blazebook2. It's that simple, folks. Christmas is going to be here before you know it. Gift yourself this book, or gift it to the wrestling fan in your family, or wherever the fuck you hang out at for Christmas. Take a book to them and say, hey, Bobby Blaze said to have this. Again, it's tinyurl.com/blazebook1 for Pin Me, Pay Me. It's tinyurl.com/blazebook2 for I Kicked Out on 2, The Educational Wrestler.
Well, let me ask both of you guys this, because there's a certain amount that I've seen, like especially in indie shows, where they don't really tell a story in the ring anymore. Like, there's no, you don't have a guy getting his arm beat and then he walks out like holding his arm close, or anything. It's just, a wrestling match and then they walk out. do you guys feel that that's kind of a dead art in there, or do you guys see enough of it that it's not really a concern for you?
We are in the age of the GIF,
Yeah.
on Twitter. I'm sure everyone out there listening probably understands what a GIF is now. It's just a clip of somebody doing a cool fucking move. And to be fair, the moves are cool. Bobby, you probably agree. The moves, you see the move and you'll say, man, it's a cool move,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But in the grand scheme of what we're trying to present, that move is not, unless the story's told, it doesn't elicit a emotional response.
Yeah.
It's just, moves don't mean shit unless they have some meaning to them or a purpose. There's no storytelling.
That's what I try to teach, Jock, at the Art of Grappling. That's what I try to tell them is, to answer your question, Jeremy, on my behalf, is like, if I'm in the ring and I'm working an arm, we're all telling stories, we're just telling them differently. So match 1, maybe the guy's working the arm. The next match 2, the guy's working a leg, etc. You start off slow, and if I were to have a match with Jock today, I'd say, Jock, we're going to start off slow and taper down from there, my brother. That's where it's going to go. And that's where it's going to go. But I guarantee it, people would be emotionally invested in that. We could do that. Okay, knowing what a professional jockey is, but I think it's in the storytelling that yes, it's very important that so Jock comes out and does this one big fucking pile drive me. He gives me a hip toss and pile drives me. If it's just not that pile driver that did me in, it's the whole match. What did he work towards? Weakening my neck, working over my back. That's the build up to it. So when he does give me the pile driver, it's as devastating as it is on its own. It's that GIF. Well, there was 15 or 20 minutes before that, before I actually took the gimmick. And I think that does. From what I see, and Jock's seen a lot more indie shows lately than I have, I'm sure, that is one of the things I notice, but I'm looking at it as from a training perspective, and I don't go over to someone and say, hey, you need to do this and do that. If it's one of the students I'm helping, I'll give them my opinion. But if I don't know that person, and a lot of people have done this, they'll come out and say, Bobby, would you watch my match? Well, if they ask me to watch their match, then I feel obligated to tell them, this is what you should do, this, and this, to arrive at that, the finish, So sometimes I think everyone does think it's just, like you said, Jock, very well put. It's a gift. It's just boom, 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 finish. No, you have to put some more into it than that, because there are a lot of cool moves I see out there today, and I'm like, God Almighty, just fucking. You ever heard of a simple arm drag or a fucking hip toss or German suplex, or something? Fucking Northern Light suplex. That was hot when I was only. Dean Link was the only one in the U.S. that did it until he told me, Bobby, you ought to try this. And I started using it and it got over. But it was, just one of those things that was cool at the time. But now people kick out of every fucking thing you throw at them, including the kitchen sink. And I guess that's a fucking finishing move now, too. I don't know.
I saw that in an XPW once with the kitchen sink. It was New Jack hit a guy with one.
Okay, there you go.
No, that's legit as hell. I mean, it was a match back in 2003, I think. But,
Damn.
And guys, let's talk a little news too. What do you guys think of all this? Like everybody at WWE getting shit canned every week, and then ROH is going contractless. What do you guys what do you guys think is coming here in the future for pro wrestling?
Man, I hate the fact that those guys lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't wish that on anybody unless they're a pedophile. Then they can burn in hell, and I don't give a fuck what happens to them. That's the only people I don't care about. But those they'll be fine though, because there's a reason why they were there.
Yeah,
and they got to train under some of the best people in the entire world. I mean, if not Japan or Europe or AEW, Impact, or some of those guys could make a good solid living wrestling on the indies with their name recognition.
Yeah, was WWE stockpiling wrestlers just so nobody else could get them for 20 years? Is that part of what's going on?
I'm not real sure what to say on that. That'd be Bobby.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. First of all, I hate to see happen a couple weeks ago, or like 12 people. Then the other day it was like 8. I think this past week. So that's 20 people just right there in the last couple of weeks been let go. And again, we mentioned we spoke on the Ring of Honor. I'll tell you this. Jay Lethal, I guess, is going AEW. Yep. And I'm glad they got picked up. Because I was concerned for him and also them boys, and all the guys on that roster. Maybe they're getting paid. We discussed this to the end of the year, but after that, then what? I'd like to think the same thing as Jock said. I'd like to think that they all, if they choose to do so, there's enough places to go and work, and also use your name for the credibility of doing indie shows. Now, as far as them stockpiling wrestlers, I don't know. I think they just this is just my opinion. I don't have any inside information on this other than what I know and hear little things. At the training center, there's so many good, talented people down there that they've got to the point, they select who they want to train now. And I guess it's one of these things where if they train them and they invest that time and money and energy into these people, obviously they see something there. But now to let them go after they just done a couple storylines, or you get taken up to the main roster, whatever, I have no idea why the fuck you would do that to the talent. And also now, Jock, we used to make a joke on this show about there's a T-shirt company out there, because AEW was just, that's what it's going to be, a T-shirt company, until they finally, got their deal and started coming on. But it's like now the guys at least have another option, that competition. And I'm just wondering what the idea is of training someone at your facility, training center or whatever, put you on your SmackDown, or your NXT rather, bring you up to your SmackDown or to your main roster of Raw, only be let go, not the competition out there that they have somewhere to go and work for. I'm glad they have somewhere to go and work, but I don't understand the logic between that or on that. What am I missing here? Tell me.
I tell you, it's real hard to say. I mean, maybe it was a panic reaction that just, hey, let's grab all the indie guys up, because the indies is probably one of the hotter elements in wrestling. Even though AEW is very hot, but it's hot in a different way. Like indie wrestling, when I came up, like you were lucky to have 100 people some places, and now you're getting indie shows with. I remember I had a show where we had 1,500 people, up in War Wrestling. I was in the main event in a scaffold match. We had 1,500 people for an independent wrestling show in one little hick town. And it's just something that's, maybe, like in music, you have to do the underground stuff to kind of get yourself to the bigger level. But maybe they're just seeing these guys, maybe, like a piece of coal, or maybe they can fine tune it into a diamond and find their next hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just you never know. And then the thing is there's so many guys getting signed by AEW that how is everyone going to get to wrestle?
That was
I'd like to have. Wow.
That was my thing with Jay Lethal, is like now he's going to go be a medium fish in a very big pond. Is Tony Khan going to have to hire everybody that wants to wrestle? It just kind of leaves these weird things hanging out there. Now, it's a healthier place to, I'm sure, go find work now as a pro wrestler than it was 5 years ago. And look at how many wrestling promotions there are just like in your guys' neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then you got companies.
Too many sometimes.
Well, that is going to be a problem. I mean, obviously. But, you got like GCW is a distant third, but people are turning on to it. You got Billy Corgan with the NWA. That's a home for some people. Guys like John Morrison for years there were making a living just going and doing the indies on their own. They figured out a way to not work for Vince McMahon. So there's a way to do it,
Yeah, he was one of the ones released again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thing about John Morrison, though, his style is not meant for the indies in the sense of like some of the rings that he has to go wrestle in and what people expect of him with his style. Like those rings are not, some of those independent rings are some of the worst, and then you get some good ones. But I mean, if you get a bad ring, like you're not really going to get a whole John Morrison match what people would expect, because a lot of times what you're going to expect is you know when you go see the Rolling Stones, you want to see the hits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't care about a song that they haven't released. You know, you want to hear the hits. And people at indie shows, they want to go see John Morrison and see all the hits.
Yeah, that's I can tell you when I saw Iron Maiden, every time they were like, "Here's a song off the new album," that's when I went and got a beer.
You know, the TVs too. What happens is, and I encourage anyone, especially if you're in the wrestling business, and why wouldn't you, want to go see, you know, some of the biggest stars in the world when you know, say AEW or WWE comes to your town. The thing I was going to say is, what happens if you go to a house show, and I've taken a couple students to some house shows before, Jock, and I'm sure you'll understand this, is, and these people just breaking in, you know, 5 matches at the most maybe or something like that. And they're sitting there, and they're looking at the house show, and the first match was like 12 minutes. And it was, I'll give you an example. It was Dolph Ziggler was in it, and I don't even know who he was wrestling. I'm sure he put him over. But anyway, he got to work, you know, and that's the thing is, you see something on TV, you got 5 minutes. Well, there's 30 to 45 seconds of music, or a minute, and then someone's either standing in the ring or they get music. Well, now you're 2 minutes into it. And you're only getting 3 minutes of, Jock, what do you do best? What can you do? Okay, I'll meet you in there because I'm going to do what I'm going to do, get my shit in, so to say. You're going to get your shit in. So all you see is 4 or 5 spots that I do, 3 or 4 or 5 that Jock does, that we, you know, boom, 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 and then there's a finish. Well, there's a lot more to it on the house shows. They don't take as big as crew, and everyone on the show usually gets about a 10, 12, 15-minute match, and you actually get to see these guys and girls perform and wrestle and tell a little bit of a story at that house show. It doesn't necessarily even follow the show. Now, the main event will, but their match, some of those opening and through 3 or 4 matches, don't even follow the programming sometime because they're trying to get people experience. And I really dig that part, you know, of the and that's one of the things I tell the young students too, is like, go to these house shows and see how some of these stars, you know, work, because, you know, going back to your gift, you're right about that. That's all people see is like, well, I thought he was going to do this, this, and this. Well, he did, but it took more time to build up to that finish or what have you. It's called working, people. You know, it's working when you're in a ring. And I am seeing some good matches since I have been back out there on the indie scene. I've seen some really good matches. And I think a couple years ago, you know, indie wrestling, pro wrestling may have been on its deathbed, but it was on life support or what have you. I think it's coming back, and I think what you said, I agree with you. It's getting pretty damn hot right now. Sure, everyone can tune in to your AEW and WWE. You know, I hope NWA continues to grow. I hope when Ring of Honor comes back, I hope they come back bigger and better for places for people to work and also showcase their talent. But on the indie scene, man, there's a lot of good indie wrestlers. Jock, among some of the best. You've seen them. You're one of them. I really appreciate that, man, because at heart, I'm still a fan, you know. But I had the privilege of making my living at doing something I loved, you know, and still getting to talk about it today with 2 friends, you know, just on this podcast. To me, talking wrestling, like I said, we're just, before the show started, I said, we're just like a couple guys having a couple beers, and we're going to drive down to the next town. You know, don't drink and drive, people. We got a designated driver. Don't worry about it. That's so cow dogs over driving. Yeah. But nonetheless, my point is, I'm seeing some really good independent wrestlers on good independent shows. Now, there are some groups out there. Maybe there are too many in some areas, but some of them are just shit shows anyway, and Jock don't work for them. And I don't go to those shows. I try to go to a quality show with quality talent on it, because I want to be a part of and witness and see these young people that are trying to be wrestlers, training to be wrestlers. As far so, I want to see some veterans that I know is going to be on that show. And when the promoters put some of these shows on I've been getting to go to lately, they've been fucking fantastic, man. Fantastic. Jock, we have to get you down here for, if they do it again, the Bluegrass Wrestling Con we done a couple weeks ago here in Ashland. I'm sure you was probably booked somewhere else or what have you, or you would have been a part of it too. But man, there's people out there doing stuff with indie pro wrestling, and I want to see that continue to stay hot, and I'm sure you'll agree with that.
Oh, yeah. The better wrestling is, the better it is for all that involved. I mean, one thing that I hope that'll help wrestling get better is we have more veterans out there that are willing to teach.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't have as many veterans out there now as we did when I was coming up. I was blessed to come up with some guys like you and, like all the dudes, man, just would tell me straight, man, you're fucking stinky. You're stinking up the fucking stinking shit up here, or tell me how, what I need to do or fix it, Yeah. A lot of times, a lot of the veterans are, when I'm done gone with wrestling one day, there's not going to be a guy like me and I tell people I'm a good person here. This is proven that I'm a good person, that I'm willing to help people, and like Danhausen, Effie, and Casey King.
But will they listen?
And there's not going to be around.
Will they listen?
And that's a good point. Like I'll tell I had a thing last night where I had a Survivor Series style match. And we had this young kid, and I consider him like a boogie woogie type. He's not really a solid, hand. He's not a carpenter by any means, Mm-hmm. He's entertaining, like Boogie. No, I'm not saying anything disparaging on Boogie. Boogie knows what the fuck he's doing. Yeah. But he's just that type, energetic, a lot of life. And he wanted to come in the beginning and he's the most over guy in the whole match as pins are just really behind him. And I kept going, it's like, you're not coming in until the crucial hot tag. And he's like, okay. What do you mean? What do you mean? what do you mean? And I'm breaking his heart. Cause I'm like, hey man, trust me, when you finally come in, and they've been begging for you for 15 minutes now, the place is going to explode. Yeah. And I'm preaching to him, because he really wanted to do all his stuff. He just, I get it. He's a kid. He's eager. And, and I got to the point where I'm like, look, this is what we're doing. You're waiting till the hot tag, and you're going to trust me on this. And when we finally did it, and it popped the house, he comes to me and says, man, you're right. And I said, yeah. Yeah.
Jock, that was, I hate to cut you off, but where can people follow you? I mean, what's the best way to follow your career and what you're doing? Social media, things like that, anything you're doing?
Oh, man. Well, just hit me up on his Facebook. You just type in Jock Samson. They ain't got no weird spellings or names, just JockSamson on Facebook, Twitter. I even got an Instagram, and I'll actually post my pictures of my daughter Scarlett on there. That I'm very proud of. And I have Snapchat for all the single moms out there that want to send me some nice pictures.
There you go.
And, I'm sure Bobby's got a discreet one, don't you? You and that swingers club down there in Ashland, right?
Had to get that in there, didn't you? Well,
boy, I've been more proud of a person in my life. Boy, you had all them uptight motherfuckers sitting there like, man, this is a Christian town. We don't need that kind of stuff in here. And Bobby's like, come on, give him my number. Shit. Please.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I was proud of this guy.
That's right, man.
But you just type in Jock Samson on there and then look me up. And I have a t-shirt store that I have posted on there if you want to buy one of my t-shirts and show people that you're a fan of me, because I understand that you work 16 hours a day and you work at a coal mine. And, if you're a coal miner, you're a Jock Samson fan. And if you blue collar steel worker, if you're able to get black lung, you love me.
Yeah. If you're a beer drinker, you love Jock Samson. I know that.
Yes.
I'll tell you
if you like having fun, if you like going to the bar and having fun, you like Jock Samson. If you like playing video games, I'm probably not your guy.
There you go. These addresses, real quickly, if you want interaction from myself, you hit me up at Bobby Blaze 744 on Twitter. Now, Jeremy, he's at the Geekish Cast, and also we have a Twitter account and a Facebook account that is Bell to Bell Blaze. I'm personally not on Facebook, but I will tell you this, Jeremy, this is revealing to you. I have been encouraged to. I might open up my Instagram again. I'm not sure. I've got some pretty good recent pictures I need to probably upload on there. And Jock, I'm glad you do put your daughter on there, man, because you should be proud of her, like you said, because you do keep that separate from your wrestling, you know. But I may open my Instagram back up. I don't know. I've just some people have written me on Twitter, said, man, I'd like to see some of your other pictures, you know. Can you put them back on there? And it's on there. It's at Bobby Blaze 744. I just haven't updated it forever. I get right nervous when I look on there sometimes, Jock. I ain't gonna be lying to you. Yeah. That's a shoot, man. I just so I just stayed with Twitter. But again, Jock, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. You're welcome back anytime. If you want to promote anything, you can come back on or give me a heads up via text. We have each other's phone numbers or Twitter. Just let me know, hey, Bobby, because I know we got some stuff coming up in January that I'll probably be seeing you at a couple of events then. Just going to throw this out there before we close out. Are you by chance going to be at ASW in December? Just curious.
I am not. I have actually.
Okay.
I've wrestled for them once, and I just could never work it out with them.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I try to, and it's nothing to them. I'm with Conquest, and I just don't want to over pollute
Completely
myself.
Understand. Yes, I was just curious.
But they run a great wrestling promotion, and they do wonderful things. And Gary's top notch. It's just, I don't, you know how it is, man. If you want to come see me, you need to come see me in Charleston.
Yeah.
For pro wrestling. Conquest or in the Ashland Ironton area, because I am your champion.
Yep, you come to FTC. I'm sure you'll be back soon. I was just appreciate your honesty on that. I just was curious.
Sure.
The reason I ask is December 18th, Jeremy, they are doing a show for Nate at the ASW. Okay. I'll have more details for you. I know 2 or 3 people, though, that already booked at other places. They couldn't make it either. So, and like Jock, you don't want to cross-promotion there if you don't need to. I just want to tell everyone out there real quickly before I sign off. Jock, thank you again for being on our program. When you're hearing this, like I said, it'll be Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Hope you and your families have a nice Thanksgiving. And to all my friends that are going down a WrestleCade this year, please be safe, and I hope you have a great time. I know it's a great event, and I've already talked to Collar and Elbow, the good people there, and I may be at WrestleCade next year. But for you people going this year, please enjoy yourself. I know what a great event that is. Jock, thanks again. Professor, thanks for putting this together. I appreciate it very much. And people, be kind to each other. That's my last thing I want to say. Happy Thanksgiving, and also be kind to yourself.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Love you.
Love you, brother.
All right. Well, for the late Tex Johnson, the greatest of all time, Jock Samson, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Bobby Blaze, and myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmur. Bye-bye, everybody.